On a show in which identities, timelines and memories are perpetually scrambled or manipulated, there are bound to be questions, usually starting with, "What did I just watch?" But the first season of HBO's Westworld was careful to dot the I's and cross the T's on many of the big questions it raised. We discovered the secret that the man in black was seeking at the center of the maze. We confirmed the popular theory that he and William were the same person on separate timelines. And we finally learned the true identity of Wyatt, and the true nature of Bernard. But the training wheels are off in Season 2. Now that hosts like Dolores and Maeve have gained self-awareness and revolted against their human keepers, Westworld has opened up into an AI free-for-all with apocalyptic implications. Timelines have metastasized, hosts are reprogramming themselves, separate parks like Shogun World have spilled their borders, and a crowd of competing interests is scheming for control of the powerful technology at its center. Now that we're at mid-season, we have a whole new set of questions. Here are 7 that need answering right now. The Man in Black, Ed Harris, spent all of last season searching for the center of the maze, an Easter egg that was said to offer some essential truth about a park he had spent decades exploring. He was warned that the maze was not for him, but he kept going anyway, only to discover that Dr. Ford, Anthony Hopkins, had designed it for the hosts, as the last step on their path to self-awareness. Like Lucy with the football, if the football were an abstract conceit and Lucy were a septuagenarian mastermind speaking from beyond the grave, Dr. Ford assured the Man in Black this season that the door was meant for him. So now our latter-day William is off on another adventure, but now the hosts are capable of returning his abuse with beatings and bullets of their own. The mystery of the door hasn't been explored much to date. Its location is the Valley Beyond, or Glory, as some call it, and because doors have a fairly standard function, it seems reasonable that one might leave Westworld by passing through it. More likely, it won't be that simple. At the end of this season's second episode, Dolores, Evan Rachel Wood, talks to Teddy, James Marsden, about what they'll find in the Valley Beyond. "An old friend was foolish enough to show me long ago," she says. "It's not a place, it's a weapon. And I'm going to use it to destroy them." From a distance, the weapon looks like a collapsed bridge or an abandoned construction project. We know from a flashback that young William, Jimmy Simpson, is the old friend who showed Dolores the weapon, secure in the understanding that her memory would be wiped. But now she has assembled an army of other hosts to join her in the Valley Beyond, where she will activate this potentially devastating what's-it. The biggest clue to what the weapon does probably relates to the park's true purpose, which has more to do with the guests than the hosts. Early in Season 2, the series revealed that Delos was collecting guest DNA for some unknown, nefarious purpose. Given that the guests are always wealthy, ordinary people can't afford Disney World, let alone a $40,000 a day entry fee. A device for replicating or manipulating them en masse might be a useful tool, provided it doesn't get in the wrong hands, of course. As Bernard, Jeffrey Wright, and a team from Delos tour the park at an unspecified time after the host uprising, they come upon a gruesome sight, an entire uncharted sea, littered with host bodies. Bernard blames himself, but why? That thread isn't picked up again until the beginning of the 5th episode, when the bodies are dragged into the lab for closer inspection. Carl and his team are shocked to discover that the control units, those ball-shaped cores that function as the hosts' brains, are completely data empty in about a third of the hosts. What happened to those control units? And how is Bernard involved? The answer to those questions might relate to the fourth episode of the season, centered on an android version of the eponymous founder of Delos Inc., Jim Delos, Peter Mullen, whose mind was effectively uploaded to his host replica. After decades of effort, technicians were never able to get Jim Delos to function well enough to release him from the lab. Each of his 149 iterations eventually reached a cognitive plateau, dead-ending into a disturbing cul-de-sac of loops and glitches. Still, the Delos company's apparent goal of achieving some form of human immortality in this fashion seems tantalizingly close. When Bernard pockets a control unit, the question then becomes which human brain it represents. And once we know that, we'll have additional questions about what Bernard is planning and how it relates to the Sea of Dead hosts. At this point in the story, Bernard is such a mess of overlapping memories and confused motivations that he may not be responsible for anything at all. Someone else might be pulling the strings. Things were looking bleak for Maeve and friends in Shogun World, where they were outnumbered and under attack by sword-wielding ninjas and samurai. But just when it seemed like all hope was lost, Maeve wordlessly persuaded an assailant to remove his hands from her throat and walk face-first into an arrow protruding from a post. Later, she uses these same extrasensory powers to convince Shogun warriors to turn their blades on one another. It's a reminder of how deeply Maeve has hacked into the programming system. Not only has she adjusted her own settings, she also seems able to control other hosts remotely, as if they were all on the same wireless network. If she can use her voice, as she puts it, to get out of scrapes, then surely she can use it to get into some, too. Delos cares about its intellectual property. The theme parks are merely a means to an end. That much was clear from the first season, even clearer from the second, in which recovering Dolores's father, Peter Abernathy, Lewis Hertham, has been a top priority. In insurance policy, the Delos rep Charlotte Hale, Tessa Thompson, tells Bernard, "It's the only thing that matters here." Abernathy was one of the original hosts, put into cold storage after finding a photograph of the outside world and wandering off script. Once decommissioned, he was made into a vessel for 35 years' worth of park data, which Charlotte wanted to smuggle out of Westworld by programming Abernathy to hop a train out of the park. He never made it, and now he's the most sought-after item in Westworld. Or perhaps he's just a walking red herring. The Westworld experiment has been a pox on the Delos family. Jim Delos is a malfunctioning robot. His son, Logan Ben Barnes, died of an overdose. His daughter, Juliet Claire Anabia, William's wife, was found dead in a bathtub. And now a mystery woman we meet at the Raj, a park that recreates colonial India, turns out to be William's daughter, Emily, Katya Herbers, all grown up now, having previously appeared only as an inquisitive child at her grandfather's retirement party. It's already clear that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Reunited with her father now in Westworld, her role going forward is unknown. One detail stands out: she knows the Ghost Nation language, which means she has already spent a lot of time in the parks, like her father. It seems unlikely that she's there for recreational purposes, but nothing about her goals, or how they might dovetail with her father's, has been revealed. No rhetorical questions, please.